Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world and whenever you are tuning into this video. My name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
And welcome to another edition of the Ruthless Talk podcast. It is time to talk some Monday Night Raw. We are not going to stall any longer. We're going to jump straight into the action. So kick back, grab a cold beverage, and watch us or listen to us cook.
Can we start drinking? I mean, it's not 5. Yeah,
it's 5 o'clock somewhere. I guess so. I guess it's what? Today's Thursday. It's somewhat of the weekend, I guess. Early weekend vibes. I guess fuck it. It's somewhere. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, as the old saying is, right? So whatever you're drinking, whether it's just H2O, a cold one, whatever it is, kick back, relax. Coffee, whatever. If you're watching this early in the morning, as it is right now on a Thursday morning, kick back and relax and listen as we dissect Monday Night Raw from this past Monday. So why don't we jump straight into it? Let's start off with the ladies, man. So the ladies had the main event slot for this show this past Monday on Raw. This was November 11th, 2024. So the main event was Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. They took on Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Jade Cargill and Bianca, of course, your champs, they get the pinfall victory over Liv Morgan. Bianca pins Liv Morgan in this match, and then chaos and a circus ensues. You had Nia Jax enter the ring. You also had Naomi as well as Io Sky jump in there as well, as then all the heels hightail it from outside of the ring, and you have all the baby faces stand tall as the show pretty much went off of the air. And that's as bluntly as I could put for you guys to start off this review. To make this short, I'm not going to go overboard with this. I mean, I love all of these ladies involved, Brian. You guys know that. I truly do. And the main event was the main event, honestly. The match was the match, which was fine. Liv Morgan taking a pinfall victory. I'm not going to go overboard about that either. I mean, I feel indifferent in times about champions taking pinfalls, but I'm not going to harp on that too much. My main problem here is the ending of this show, to where if you were to put this at any other slot in the show, I would have been totally fine with it. But you have these ladies end the show. It's pretty much a circus. All of the faces and all the heels brawl. You had Nia Jax out there. Was Tiffany Stratton out there, Brian? Correct me on that?
Yeah.
She was also right.
Mm-hmm.
And then Naomi also came out there as well, as she was there standing tall with all the other baby faces. Like, it was just a nonsensical.
Yeah, I think the last four was what? Bianca, Jade,
Naomi, and Io Sky. Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is setting up Wargames possibly, which again, guys, I got a hot take. There's going to be full of hot takes in this short review for today. Guys, for this women's Wargames match, I guess that's what we're doing, guys. I really don't care, because it's just a bunch of women just thrown into this with no rhyme or reason. And again, the brand split, I've already harped about that. That's one thing, right? So if you're going to do that to where, it's Nia Jax and it's Naomi from SmackDown, what are they doing here? Like, you're not thinking anything else differently. It's just, it's Nia Jax and it's Naomi showing up. Like, what else is different? And they show up in their ring attire. Like, it's just so, like, if you would have really made this a brand split to make this feel like somewhat of like brand supremacy, like, have them like show up in their street attire like they just came from like the parking lot or something or whatever. Like, they're showing up in their ring attire. It was just really weird.
Yeah, because if all you're doing at the end of the day is having a brawl, I mean, you can do that and you're just normal clothes, you know.
And we saw that earlier on, and we'll get to that with Seth and Bronson. We'll talk a little bit about that too. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. I mean, on any other slot of the show, I still probably would rip this apart. But the fact that it's ending the show, man, like, there's no cliffhanger, there's nothing to get you excited to be like, wow, I now I need to see what happens next week. You didn't get that at the end of the show. And that was my main issue with this entire thing. Brian, real quick, man, your thoughts about this main event.
I got mixed feelings, man. I really do. Because on the one hand, like, I kind of liked them being in the main event segment. Now, it could have gone, better or whatever.
Sure.
But I like them having that moment. And then also, the Naomis, the Io Skies, like there's moments for all of these ladies that it's one of those things where like, yeah, like the overall, like having them in the main event and, you know, closing the show like that, big picture, I think it elevates the women's division.
Oh, sure.
However,
Yeah.
you're like with Io for say, I love Io. And I know they're kind of gonna push her to, you know, go after this title, whatever, but she's gonna lose. She's not gonna win that title. And so again, like a Naomi, she's another one. Like, yeah, she's there, and you could do great things with her, but like, what are you gonna do with her? There's now a U.S.
Right.
title. Could that be Naomi's? Could that be Io's?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like there's all these like good things. It's just like, you know, okay, it's here, and yeah, if they're planning this to War Games, you know, to set up this War Games. I mean, I don't, you know, these are all like individual feuds, kind of like they don't need to come together at a
And
War
yeah, and
Games
right.
match,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So yeah, it's, I don't know. It's like they're on the cusp of things here, but then like, oh, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like you're meshing now, like Naomi into this now, and Nia Jax, and now you're
Right.
meshing in what Io Sky because she's got a matchup with Liv Morgan, and then you're still trying to tell Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. Like, there's just so many.
Yeah.
We talk about it with AEW all the time. Again, I hate to make this comparison, but like you see, like
Right.
all
No,
of
it's the
these
same thing.
pieces, and they're
Yeah.
trying to connect dots, and it's not adding up, and it's not like connecting with hardly anybody really at all. And what you said, Brian, too, about the ladies is fair. Like, I love the fact that, and you've seen that now, the evolution, I guess, with women's
Sure.
wrestling is now you see it in NXT. It's where NXT's
Yeah.
women's division is completely like straight fire right now with the talent that they have. But the problem is this, that they're not executing it. The booking is not being executed
Yeah.
properly in these spots, right? If you want to put the women to end the show, like, I have no issue with that. But the fact
Right.
that that was your plan to end the show, that's the problem
Yeah.
that I have. So yeah, I mean, I adore all of these ladies involved, man. It's just like, man, when you see, you know, a brawl segment where, you know, the heels retreat and the faces stand tall, you've pretty much seen it all at this point. And the fact that you have, again, Naomi and Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton, they're all showing up in their ring attire, right? It's just like another day at the office when you're not on this brand, you're on SmackDown.
Right.
It's just also very, very odd to me. And now you're going
Yeah.
to mesh this into War Games. So now we're going to have all this chaos, and now we're just going to do it inside of a cage and some kendo sticks and some chair shots. I don't know. And we're going to
Right.
get to a
Yeah.
specific segment that honestly really truly deserves a War Games match, and we'll get to that later on, man. So, and then yeah, you had Damage Control, and you had, I don't even know what the fuck their name is now, Pure Fusion Collective, you know, right, with
Right.
DeVille and Zoe Starks and Shayna Baszler. Guys, I'll be honest with you, this is just straight up honesty. I legit sometimes forget that they're even a tandem, seriously, like, because they're just so, their booking is so inept. Like, I legit forgot, like, oh, that's right, Pure Fusion Collective, that's still a thing. And you mesh them with Damage Control. Shout out to Dakota Kai, by the way. She came
Yeah.
back. She made
Oh,
her.
I gotta say something about that too, man.
Yeah,
Go
go ahead,
ahead.
man.
No, just so that's how you had her return. Like,
Yeah,
you know, she just
right.
walks into a
Walks
segment like
in.
there was no. I mean, come on, bro. Come
Yeah,
on.
might as well be Chris Jericho. Hi guys, I'm back. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
bro. I mean,
Oh
do
my
better,
god.
man.
For
Yeah,
real,
that.
man. Yeah, and you put, and it's funny, Brian. They put them in with Pure Fusion Collective, right? The same team that out heel Damage Control, right? This is where
Right.
Triple H's booking is so fucking weird. You now pair Damage Control now as their mannerisms are more face, and now when this whole time you had them attack them while they were heels, and now here you are expecting people to care now that their mannerisms is somewhat face because you put them in that spot months ago. So yeah, man, it's all over the place with this. With like so much talent, bro, so much talent,
Yes. Yes.
and they're not executing anything, right? This Liv and Rhea storyline, I'll be honest with you, bro, it's slow. The steam is slowly starting to dim down, and when you
Yep.
don't have that at this point, there's really nothing. There's nothing at all with the win. It sucks. I hate to say that, but it's just the truth, you know. So that's
let
really
me say something about Pure Fusion Collective too, man. Like, because I don't know. Look, Zoe Starks. I mean, I think she can be a star. She's fantastic. I really think she is, man.
Yeah.
Baszler, I think she's better than what she's been portrayed in over her career in the WWE. But there are, and I know we're not really in that era anymore, but something just doesn't feel right in my soul about Pure Fusion Collective. I don't know whose idea this was for the name, right? But
Right.
we are as evolved as we would like to think ourselves to be. We are still to some degree wrestling fans and smart marks.
Right.
And there is a lot of the audience that, yeah, you're pandering to the lowest common denominator. That's just a truth of the entirety of wrestling fandom. And I feel this name, like Pure Fusion Collective, is like, and I don't mean to, if this was like a Zoe's idea or Shayna, like I don't mean to bash the idea, but it's like you got to know your audience, and that this just is not going to sell. It's not
No.
going to connect.
Mm-mm.
You know, just the name itself, like
Yeah.
it's just not.
It's not. No.
So I don't know, man. But shout out to those women, and
Absolutely.
maybe we get a name change here, but it's just not a good name.
No. No, it starts with the name, bro, which is why, like, to a degree, I'm glad the War Raiders got their name back, honestly, because like Viking Raiders, Viking Adventure, Viking Experience, like it's not appealing, it's not appalling to anybody. So yeah, like that, the name itself, like that's the start, right? Like you gotta come up with the creative, badass name, and then the booking has to like follow suit. So yeah,
it's
like
almost like they tried to be highbrow with it, but went too highbrow to where it just
yeah,
missed the fucking mark. I
exactly.
don't know.
No, 100%, absolutely. So that's the ladies, which the booking
Right.
continues to just be befuddling. Much love to everybody. Much love to
Yeah.
Dakota Kai, who's back. It's great to see her, but
And she
man,
deserved better of a
absolutely.
debut than that. Yeah.
Absolutely, bro. Like you forget, like out of everything that we're gonna go over in this show, you forget. Oh, that's right. Dakota Kai just came back to Monday Night Raw. Like
Yeah.
that's how. Yeah, it's just so weird, man, and so odd. But anyway, let's move on, man. So you also had, speaking of brand split, you have the Bloodline that the entire night is trying to find a fifth member for Wargames. Same goes with
Why?
Solo and his group.
Why? Why
Right?
is it
Why?
necessary? It's not.
It's I'll save that later on, but
Yep.
you had so Seth Rollins, let me start off with him, right? And he was in a segment with Bronson, and you guys know when Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed are in the same arena, you know what's coming. Non-stop brawling chaos, man. And that's what you got for constant freaking weeks. You get more and more and more and more brawling between these two, to where it's no longer creative, guys. It's redundant at this point. You listen, bro. Like, listen, much love to Seth and Brian. We've talked about Seth Rollins so many times now on this platform about this character and how it's not doing anything for us. And for a lot of people, I'm sure, like, this version of Seth, man, I just don't care. I don't care about him at all. Like, and again, it sucks because he's such a good talent. And we're going to go over this promo segment that he was a part of. Like everything a part of, even with Bronson to a degree, right? It's had its moments, right? And chaos is part of pro wrestling, but to do it redundantly and to do the same thing that you did with Braun Strowman, it's not adding up. You're just using brawl segments with Rollins and Bronson nonsensically. It's just like, come on, dude. To build up a rematch for whatever. Maybe it's at Survivor Series. Maybe they push it to freaking Saturday night's main event. Who knows? But so Seth Rollins was backstage. He got his match up with Bronson Reed as he was in a segment with Adam Pearce. Sami Zayn walks in and he's trying to persuade Rollins to be the fifth guy for War Games. Again, Brian already asked the question, why? Why is there a fifth member? Why is it somebody outside of the bloodline that's already Sami Zayn? I don't have an answer for you. I really don't. But this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
So Sami Zayn's like, listen, I've gone up and down the Raw and SmackDown locker room, and there's no one else that I would think to believe it's you. And Seth Rollins is just like, I think you're out of your damn mind, bro. Like, the hell are you talking about? Like, dude, after years and what I've put myself through to finally, to defeat Roman Reigns, to have him get dethroned at WrestleMania, putting my body on the line, and now you want me to team with this dude? Like, are you nuts? Like, I'm sorry, Sammy, but like, my answer is just simply no. And then later on in the night, you saw Seth. He was being persuaded by Solo and his group, right? And this is Seth Rollins, and I quote, he says, "Never will I ever again team up with Roman Reigns." Just remember that, guys, moving forward, if this becomes a fifth person moving forward, right? Just hold out hope on that. And then he follows up by saying, "But I will never team up with a wannabe Roman Reigns," which is Solo. He's got his hands up. He kind of leaves him hanging. Jacob Fatu kind of like, try to body check him or whatever, and Solo backs him off. And then Seth Rollins leaves the parking lot. You also had Braun Breaker, who was trying to also be persuaded by Jimmy Uso, who's another.
Fuck.
So Brian, this is what we're doing for the next several weeks.
The guy
who's
that
going to be
had
the
a feud with Jay, like for the IC title. That he's gonna. God damn it.
Yeah, bro. I keep telling this to people, bro. This is Triple H's booking when nothing makes sense. It's baffling, right? We've seen bad booking, bro. Like with Vince McMahon for years. This shit makes no sense. You have a face technically in Jimmy, right? Face the OG bloodline, asking a heel to be a part of the War Games match, the fifth member. I mean, my God, I don't know what we're doing, bro. This is what we're doing, Brian, for the next several weeks. Who's going to be the fifth person, right? The fifth person. And gives credit to Seth, by the way, too. I'm sorry to backtrack, but the interaction with Seth and with Sammy and even with Solo, I thought was really well done on Seth's part, too. But it's just what we're doing to get to War Games that we're now adding a fifth member here when it's not needed at all, right? I kind of was water underneath the bridge with Sammy, right? If there's anybody outside of bloodline family, it's Sami Zayn, right? But now it's Seth and it's Bronson, potentially Kevin Owens and Cody. Guys, the fuck, man? Like, seriously, bro. This is why I feel indifferently about War Games, bro. It's just that when it comes to War Games and you have all these pieces and you're trying to connect it, it doesn't add up at all, because you have bloodline supremacy, but then you're mixing in another storyline into it with either KO and Cody or with Bronson and Seth. It's like, the fuck, just because you need a fifth member, like oh my God, man. Anyway, that's a lot, but Brian, I'll have you get your thoughts in, man, about this whole interactions backstage, trying to find a fifth member for War Games. Brian, what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, man, I feel like this is a situation where, like, I mean, it's like nobody's forcing their hand. Like, they're doing this to themselves,
Yeah.
Like, I get it. Like, traditionally, the old traditional Survivor Series matches, it was 5-on-5. I get it.
Right.
But in this case, like, it doesn't have to be 5-on-5. I mean, that's just a fucking number, And beyond that, if you were dead set on it has to be 5-on-5, and I don't know other people's contracts or their readiness or whatever, but again, there's so many people in the bloodline you could potentially involved in that if that's the way you are just dead set on having it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, again, I've said my piece about Sammy, and Seth has a tie with the Shield and whatever. Yeah, I get it, but you're just and Braun. That's when I was like, what the fuck? Why is there even a segment with Braun Breaker even being? This is even a topic of conversation. What the fuck?
I mean, dude, he already panders to the crowd already, so he might as well just be a face and team up with other faces, right? I don't know.
Even with that, it's like, okay. So
right.
So we're doing that, and just in the past month and a half, it's really been Braun and Jay going back and forth with the IC title. So there's that.
Yeah.
And now you want him to be part of the team. Fucking Christ, man.
It's to add suspense. Like, it could be Braun Breaker. Like, could it be Braun Breaker? Is it going to be Bronson? Is it going to be Seth?
Yeah, it shouldn't be
that's
any
what
of
we're
them.
doing. No, exactly. The answer is none. Yeah, absolutely.
I will say the one kind of positive I do take away from all that is even within this segment or this feud with Bronson and Seth, which I would assume was the intention within WWE anyway. I think it has elevated Bronson to, he's on the cusp now of being that, he's right there underneath the main eventer. So I think they've established that well. But beyond that, man, like Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, it's a fucking it's a mess, bro. I just like, yeah, guys, I'm speechless because I don't know what else to say at this point, man. I'm gonna get a hot take, you guys. You ready? This
maybe,
is just why
we haven't seen Braun Strowman in a while. Maybe he comes back, so now it's Braun Breaker, or Jesus Christ, man, who knows?
Yeah, and again, so it looks like Sheamus is going to be the guy to face Braun Breakers. There was an interaction too. There's a good interaction. Actually, all of the at least good that was in the show was all of like
was the interactions,
interactions from like we'll get to
backstage
and everything else. The bulk of the show was just a complete what the fuck. As it usually kind of is since it's been 2 hours. Or shoot, even with 3 hours at times, bro. And we've seen like, banger matches to where, you can fill up the show that way. But when it comes to the nuts and bolts and the bread and butter of like evolving and elevating stories, like there's not a whole lot that's there. There's just not. And here's my hot take, guys. And listen, Wargames has a place, it had a place with NXT when it started, and now they're trying to make this thing on the main roster. Guys, I'll be honest with you. SmackDown versus Raw bragging rights is a lot more entertaining than Wargames. That's my hot take. It just is, bro. I'm serious. Like seriously, bro. Like the invasions, the brand invasions from going back 10 plus years, bro, with SmackDown and Raw, right? Creating moments with Becky Lynch and breaking her nose, her bloody nose, right? With NXT, when NXT was kind of a part of it, when it was NXT, Raw and SmackDown, the invasions and the brawls, they were elevated. The invasions were elevated, right? There was intrigue and investment. Like, what's the investment with Wargames, bro? Non-stop brawling, and you're going to do the same thing in a cage? And now you're meshing all of these other stories together that doesn't need to be meshed. That's why my hot take is what it is. SmackDown, give me SmackDown versus Raw bragging rights, because that's a lot more entertaining than the build up to these Wargames matches. It just is. Now, it doesn't mean that Wargames doesn't have a place. It's not entertaining, but I'm talking about consistent investment, Brian. SmackDown versus Raw, that bragging rights just has a lot more of it than this War Game stuff, man. It just does. I don't care about, especially even with the Bloodline, bro. We talked about it at Crown Jewel. Why mesh all of these people at Crown Jewel when you knew you were going to put all these people in a cage at War Games several weeks later, right? And now you're just adding Sami Zayn and a bunch of people outside of the Bloodline that don't need to be fucking a part of it. It's just...
No, exactly.
So that's
it's hard for me because I still, I got the nostalgia of the War Games, and when done right, when War Games is done right, that to me might be arguably the best
NXT, bro.
Match creation in wrestling. Like a War Games match.
Go back to NXT, bro. That's honestly when it was really, truly done. And maybe you could go back with Bloodline.
I'm going back to that, like when the Horsemen and Sting and the Road Warriors.
And that's right. That too. Right. There you go. Yeah, that too. Yeah, that's fair too. Right.
So yeah, when it's done right, to me, it's the best. But yeah, you're right. Like it's, and also like these things to get to that War Games match where it is a 4-on-4 or 5-on-5. These are stories that have to be told over a period of time and build and build and build.
Yes.
And that's why it's when you get to that match, it's so fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the way that it's we're just now we're trying we're having the match for the match sake and trying to have the story fit the match rather than the other way around.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's a great way to put it. Absolutely. Yeah. And like you said, and that was fair what you said too about Bronson. Like, because Bronson definitely has been elevated ever since he
Yeah.
started this push. He definitely feels somewhat more of like, maybe not like, larger than life yet, but you can
Right.
argue and say that if he continues to be booked properly, we'll see, fingers crossed, he could be on his way. To
Yeah.
where he feels more of a big deal than he did before the Braun Strowman feud and before he started this push. So that to that degree, yes, that's probably been the only success or bright spot that we can honestly point out in this whole situation. But so let's actually get to some good shit, man. I feel like we've just been bashing the show, justifiably though, but let's actually get to some good stuff, man. Let's get into the Final Testament and let's get into the Wyatt Six. So backstage, you have the Miz, who was cornered by Final Testament. So Miz was let go by the Wyatt Six. He was kidnapped and they let him go. And the Final Testament, they want answers. Like, where are the Wyatt Six? What's going on? But the Miz is like, bro, I'm done. Like, I'm done with this entire thing. I don't want any part of this anymore. Like, I'm done. And dude, Cross is so good. He's like laughing. He's like, oh, he says he's done, right? This dude thinks he's like, no, you're not done. You've given me nothing of information, nothing about the Wyatts. He's like, nothing about anything at all. And like Miz is like, this is bigger than me. This is bigger than us. Like, it's done. Like, just walk away. Just leave it alone. He's like, no, they took out Paul Ellering. I can't stand that. Like, you need to give us answers because this is your fault and you need to clean up this mess. And he's like, by the way, remember when I told you I was going to break your legs? Yeah, get him, boys. And he freaking, it's the AOP grabs the Miz and they drag him out to the ring. This was so well done. They bring him back through gorilla position and into the ring. And then Cross is really getting amplified now. He's like, where are the Wyatts? Where are they? Again, Cross is so damn good. I'm going to get more to Cross later on. And then the lights go out. The Wyatt Six appear as they're face to face. You got the Final Testament. You got the Wyatt Six, of course, even with Nikki Cross out there and with Scarlett, that interaction. That could be really good too if you can evolve that too with those two ladies, by the way. And then the Miz from out of nowhere with a steel chair hits it over the back of Eric Rowan. And then Uncle Howdy has this look on his face. He's like, and he ends up just hysterically laughing. And he kind of like, he's like, all right. He's like, you one-upped on me, but now like you're gonna get it. Like, you can beat us down now. Like, we know the numbers game is not in our favor, but like just get it out of your system because they know that they're effed, right? So the beatdown, ensues. Cross, Final Testament, they stand tall. Which is great to see because you rarely see Final Testament in this type of limelight, to where they're standing tall as a badass faction toe to toe. And of course, the Miz alongside, as obviously this was all a setup, right? To set up the Wyatt Six, to lure them out there and to have the beatdown. Cross and Miz, they walk up the rampway. Uncle Howdy, everybody's laid out, right? Nikki Cross, Eric Rowan, Joe Gacy, Dexter Loomis, they're all laid out. But Uncle Howdy's trying to get back to his feet, but he's hysterically laughing, kind of like what Bray Wyatt would do. And Cross has that look on his face. He's like, I guess I should have done a little bit more damage than that or something like that. And that's when the segment ends. So I'll keep this short, or at least I'll try to. I mean, guys, this is also a hot take. I actually have two hot takes, actually. The first hot take is that Karrion Kross and the Wyatt Six for the last several weeks has been the most entertaining and most consistent part of this entire show. That's like, seriously, that's just as honest as I can be. Karrion Kross is fantastic. This dude, this is the best version of Cross that we've seen in numerous weeks and months. This is just, guys, the tip of the iceberg, bro, of what you can get with Karrion Kross. And this is finally, with just even decent booking, right? This is what you can get with Karrion Kross and with this faction itself, which was really, really good. Again, the setup was good. And we spoke about this, Brian, yesterday about like, this was like a shocking type of a turn. I wasn't that surprised with the turn, but that doesn't, go away with how good this segment was. This was a good, well done segment. If I had to nitpick anything from this, right? Anything, I would have done a more amplified type of beatdown from the Wyatts, to where it was only maybe like maybe a couple of seconds, to where Uncle Howdy does get to his feet, and you have Karrion Kross is like, that didn't take him down. I guess I got to do more. I'm like, you think, bro? You beat him up for only like 12 seconds, and then you left the ring. Like, it's the Wyatts. It's like you shouldn't be shocked that it's the Wyatts. They're supernatural, and you beat him up for a couple seconds, and Wyatt or Uncle Howdy's like slowly getting back to his feet. So if there's any listen, if people want to say that's a nitpick, that's fine. But again, that doesn't take away at least that more of good outweighed the bad that was this segment. I just would have amplified the beatdown and kind of drag it out a bit, just a little bit more to make it a more impactful and maybe let things breathe just a tad bit more. Because they deserve that type of depth in that segment. But still, man, this was well done. Again, the best part of the entire show. And if you want to do War Games, bro, Final Testament and Wyatt 6.
Yeah, exactly.
Like seriously, this it makes sense, right? You're not just throwing and again, you have the Miz to where listen,
the story fits the match. You don't have to
exactly. You're not throwing a bunch of bodies within teams just because you need names for a War Games match. Because let's face it, that's what you're doing with the Bloodline right now, and that's what you're doing with the women, and nobody cares because it doesn't add up. So if you want to make a War Games match, dude, give me Final Testament and give me fucking Wyatt 6. This is the best part of the show. They have been the best part of this show. And if anybody deserves or has earned a War Games match in that spotlight, it's these two fucking factions. But what the fuck do we know? What do I know? So, Brian, what are your thoughts, man, in regards to this Wyatt 6 and Final Testament?
Man, it was. I really got to shout out the Miz here, man. Not so much that I was surprised one way or the other who he's with, because I mean, his entire career, that's who he is. He's self-serving, whatever.
Right.
But in that moment, man, the performance that he put on in that moment, God, I mean, it was so fucking. He's so good. He's so good, man.
Absolutely.
So shout out to the Miz on that, because that to me, that is what is making this segment. Cross did great, yes, the Wyatt 6, but without the Miz doing that well, it doesn't hit the same. And I guess what really shocked me the most, and this was probably just me not paying attention, because when the Wyatt 6 showed up, I thought Miz had gotten the hell out of there. I didn't see him, kind of get in the chair and shit, and then until he got back in, I was like, oh shit.
Right.
So yeah, this story, I love it. It fits a War Games match if they wanted to make it that. But yeah, then this is kind of my little drawback to it, is like, is it just me, or do you somewhat feel, or wrestling fans somewhat feel like, the Wyatt 6 were introduced, it was really hot when they were going out after Alpha Academy, and then since then, it's been kind of 50-50, and dare I say, like, at times, like, they're booked like schmucks. Like the backstage, like last week, that whole Miz and Uncle Howdy, that was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have them come out here, in which, the Wyatt, they're presented as this dark, mysterious, spiritual powers, all that kind of thing. And then, but Uncle Howdy just gets played so easily. And then, like you said, is a relatively quick beatdown. And then he just gets back up and kind of laughs. And then Karrion Kross is down at the apron, kind of looking like, oh, it's not that easy. Like, So that's where I'm just like, what the fuck? Why? That everything leading up to it was great, except that final fucking part of it.
Like, yes, right. That's what I was screaming for about, man. It's just like,
so I don't know how to explain that. Why would this come as a shock to a person such as Karrion Kross? It shouldn't.
Right, yeah.
Nor should, the Wyatt 6 be kind of... how many times have we... yes, they've beaten people down, but we've also seen them repeatedly just be beat down and left in the ring.
Yeah.
Where, what mystique do they have now?
Right.
So, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hope and habit.
Right. Exactly. Habit and hope, bro. Like I always say. But yeah, like I said, man, a lot more good though did outweigh
Yeah,
the bad
yeah,
in this. But
yeah.
yeah, the ending of
No,
it,
it
man,
for sure.
it was definitely just very, very weird, especially just with the way it made Karrion Kross look towards the end. It's just like, oh, like shit, he's getting back up to his feet. I thought I just laid
I
him
mean,
out. I
haven't you
thought
been feuding with these guys for a month, but 6 weeks now,
right,
whatever it is?
you would think that like you would want to take these dudes out like permanently, like legit, like
Yeah,
amplify it and truly like elevate the segment, or like create more of like that spark toward the end of the segment to
right.
where it creates more of a headline. Like, bro, like, did you see how the Final Testament took out Wyatt 6? Like, do you think they're gonna come back next week? Like, what are they gonna do? You know, I even remember, and again, this is very also like way back. This was like what 2007 to where like it was Undertaker and Mark Henry, right? To where they were building up Mark Henry and they had Mark Henry take out the Undertaker. And for weeks, man, like you saw like the Undertaker playing these mind games, like, hey, like you didn't finish the job, like I'm coming back, and all the druids and stuff. It's like, but the segments were different, right? Like the segments with all the druids and stuff, like the same type of cryptic messaging, but it was different to where like you knew Undertaker was going to come back, and then you have Mark Henry who's pretty much delusional. It's like, nah, the Undertaker's not coming back. I took him out
Right.
permanently, right? Like, why don't you do that with Final Testament and AOP, who are believable characters, by the way, to do that?
Yep.
So that's the only listen. If that's a nitpick to most people, then fine. It is what it is, man. Like
But I agree. If there's any match right now where we're headed and what they're trying to do, that should be a War Games match. It's them.
it's this match, man.
Yeah.
Seriously, because
Yep.
again, people, people always say like, oh yeah, they deserve the match. No, they don't deserve it, bro. They fucking earn it, bro, because they've been weekly now the best part, the most consistent, entertaining part of this fucking show. Everything else either doesn't make sense, it's not as intriguing, it's not entertaining, and it's all over the place. At least this has legs to stand on. And
Yep.
that's what it's been for several weeks. And hopefully, again, this is just the tip of the iceberg of what we'll continue to see within Karrion Kross, because I want what's best for that
Bro.
dude. And
Yo,
yeah, go
you and
ahead,
I
Brian.
have been praised him so much for so long. Like, I mean, I hope really people are like really are paying attention. Like
Yeah,
the way this
absolutely.
guy is mixing like even like comedy into it and then flips it
Yes.
and gets serious. Like,
And
I
gets
mean, god
right.
damn it, he's
Dude,
nailing it.
not a lot of people can do that shit. At least like in a short amount of time to where like,
Right,
like
right.
backstage, like with the Miz, like, oh, he thinks he's done. Like, oh, he really thinks, and then he gets amplified and starts screaming, like changing like the pitch and the persona. Not a lot of people can do that, like in the moment, like when they're on camera, when it's live. Like,
Yeah.
dude, Cross just has that in spades, dude. And with again, with people like AOP who are good muscles of the group, and you have
Yep.
Scarlett and Paul fucking Ellering, dude. Like, what the like, seriously, like, Brian, you even said it like, what, like, does it take like a fucking, like a genius or a scientist to come up with creative ways for these people? Like, it's just so
And you know,
odd.
it's weird. Like, and I know the bloodline is the bloodline and is always going to bleed the
Right.
bloodline, and
Yeah.
deservedly so. I
Right.
get
Uh-huh.
that. But it almost seems like in WWE now, with because there are the Final Testament, the Wyatt Six,
Yeah.
there are formidable factions that can challenge the AOP against either one of the bloodlines. That's fucking good.
Yeah.
But it seems to me like the Wyatt Six, the Final Testament, like they're all kept out. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're
Yeah.
not even presented to where they could or should be challenging the
Yeah.
bloodline, and they
Yeah.
can and they should. You
Yeah.
know?
No,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, again, like you don't have
And
to
we might
like
get there down the road. Obviously, the
maybe. I mean,
bloodlines. This has to happen, but yeah,
right. Well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm not holding out hope in regards to that, but yeah,
right.
but they should be at least more marketable than what they're being prescribed to be, if that makes sense. I mean,
Yeah,
that's just, it is what it is. So yeah, man, I can go on for hours talking
sure.
about just even the Wyatt Six too. Like, I'm leaving out the Wyatt Six because, like, again, they've been off. They're also, their booking ever since to this point has been odd. Even with American Made, it was odd. Just again, nonstop brawling and just making. And again, that American-made faction had to take the loss, unfortunately, because it's the Wyatt Six and they're a new faction. But now it's just like, it's a shame though from, and I hope that over time this elevates where they go to next, right? To where you thought that maybe that was the case with Chad Gable, especially with Otis and all that, and it went nowhere. And now, like Chad Gable, he's just an afterthought on this show, to where he's hardly even on this fucking show now. So hopefully that's the case moving forward as well. So let's move on, man. So again, much love, much praise to Final Testament, Cross, the Wyatt Six, Taylor Rotunda, Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy, whatever you want to call him. Miz as well. Again, I know I'm leaving out the Miz too. Again, people also kind of like overlook the Miz at times. The Miz, dude, I've said it.
Me
the
too.
Most consistent. Yeah, and US. Yeah, absolutely. Both of us do. Both of us have said it about the Miz, man, to where like whatever you give him, right? Whether it's being like the comedy act, talking about how big his balls are, right? Or freaking being in a serious role, he can do all of it. And fitting him in with Karrion Kross, to where I've had my moments to where it is a weird type of tandem, but they've so far have made it work. And that's all on the talent. So like the fact that you can be given a script and be like, hey, go do this and go do this. But the way that they are executing it, the talent is executing it, has been very well done. And that's all I can say. So really good stuff from all of those people across the board. So let's get into, I want to talk a little bit about the New Day before we get into our final topic here. So obviously the New Day, so it was Kofi and Pete Dunne were in a match. Cool. I don't know, guys. Listen, obviously, of course, the nuts and bolts are teasing the split with the New Day, and I know in a couple more weeks they're going to be promoting a show to where it's celebrating 10 some odd years of the New Day, and that's most likely when Xavier Woods is most likely going to turn on Kofi. Again, all I ask is that Big E is a part of it. Now, I will say, like, this was probably the best little, because obviously, like, over the last several weeks, you've seen it to where it's just kind of be like this little, like, bantering, like they're just a weird, odd, like, toxic couple.
I was trying to help you, but
it's just right. And it's kind of just this again, man. This is so weird about booking nowadays in this company. It's like you take something and you do it over and over and over again to where nothing is elevating, right? It's like, trust me, like chaos and bickering and bantering, you need that. But if nothing's evolving or elevating the shtick, then again, it's just becoming redundant. And I feel like at times we're doing that too with the New Day. Again, I'm sure the split itself is going to be good. I just wish that we could be evolving the story more rather than just bantering like a bunch of fucking schoolgirls. That's just, so, and hopefully for Xavier Woods, I mean, listen, I don't know what Xavier Woods is going to truly bring to the table, right? I still need to see more of Xavier Woods, right? We've seen the moments with Big E. We've seen it with Kofi, right? They've gotten their moments. And listen, you don't know what you got until you give them the opportunity. So you want to give Xavier this opportunity to see what he's got. I'm all for it. I don't know exactly what he has, but we won't know until we find out. So hopefully the split's done well. Hopefully Big E's done well. And hopefully when this is all said and done with Xavier Woods, he's actually going to be elevated as a solo star. Like this is his time. Kofi Kingston, of course, a guy who's been a vet, who's been here for so many years that I'm sure is going to do his part to where I'm sure this is going to be, I guess, prolonged till Mania, possibly. That's something that I've been hearing, that they could prolong this to be a Mania match with Xavier and Kofi. I don't know. That's a long ways away. And then, the confidence level of me with this company to do that is as little as the Jets again winning a Super Bowl. It's not very fucking high. Brian, what are your thoughts, man, real quick, about the New Day?
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I really do wish I want to see the best for these guys. But I mean, if there's ever, especially in the last 10, 20 years, I mean, it feels like with this group specifically, like if there's ever a case study in, you just went way too long with it. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like even this breakup, it just seems like it's bad timing. Like if they're planning it for a specific event, whether that be a War Games or a Mania or whatever, then they started this split like way too soon. Like it's just so, because now you are just doing the redundant. I mean, this has been at least 2 months, so at least like 8 weeks, 8 episodes. Which I guess, I don't know. Is that a long time? Is that too much? Is it too little? But when you see it for over 2 months and the same things, it's just like, no, I was trying to help you, Kofi. And I mean, it's nothing's evolving, nothing's moving. It's just the same after same after
It's
same.
exactly.
And now you're trying to prolong this to Mania of doing this. Like, that's just too long to do it. Like,
Yeah.
you started that trajectory way too soon.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't know what the answer is to that, but like, well, yeah, New Day's had their moments, Big E, Kofi, all of that. But yeah, it's been long overdue where they could have, should have gone their separate ways, reinvented themselves in some way. I don't know. But yeah, it's at the point now where like I'm ready to see what Xavier can do solo or whatever he's going to be doing going forward. Let's see what he can do, because this is just, it's had its time, it's had its moments, and now
Yeah.
let's move on.
It's been time, bro, for this faction to split, right? It's
Yeah.
like it's been like 10. This is years, 5+ years in the making. So
Like
hopefully
I
it's
get it,
done.
for a while, it was like holding out hope that Big E could come back, but like
Yeah.
even then, like you can still break up the group, and then shit, if miraculously Big E can make a return, then you reform the group. Like, it's not rocket science.
No, exactly. Yeah, much love to Big E, by the way. He's part of WWE. I think he's doing like stuff like in like these PLE pre-shows with like
Yeah,
Jackie Redmond and some other analysts and commentators with Booker T and everybody. So he's still, it's good to see him obviously like
yeah, for
healthy and
sure.
legit walking and doing normal activities, which is great, which is, going to the gym and all this stuff. And hopefully maybe they're still, holding out hope that he could possibly return. But man, if Big E, again, you don't have to have him get physical or take a bump, but when this split happens, man, he has to be a part of it, dude. Like, you
For
can't do
sure.
a New Day split and not have Big E be a part of it. You just can't. So
Yeah.
we'll see when it comes to it. All right, so let's get to our final topic for this show, which is going to be more fireworks and more just crazy shit that'll probably come out of my mouth, at least for most of you guys listening. You have Damian Priest and Gunther, right? So it's official now. You have Damian Priest and Gunther. They're gonna have this matchup for Survivor Series. They're gonna have this rematch for Survivor Series for the world title. They're both out there in the ring in this promo segment. This was the very start of the show. And Gunther, he's about to once again call him street trash. He's like, once again, like, here I am. I'm the world champion. You're nothing but this and that or whatever. And Priest is like, oh, like, what are you going to say? Like, I'm street trash. I'm a bum, right? Like, I didn't come from more of like higher grounds than you did, right? I have to like scratch and claw my way to get here. Like, what are you going to say, dude? Like, it's the same thing that you said last time. Is like, and now you can see Gunther. And this is what's kind of like weird. Now you see some doubt creeping in with Gunther. Like, he's now like doubting himself now that he can't be like, and Priest even said this. He's like, I see that doubt starting to creep in. He's like, you don't think you can beat me? He's like, my response is like, bro, he's already beat you, bro. Like, what doubt should be creeping in? But whatever. Moving on in this segment here. So Priest, he continues to talk. He says some more words. Gunther again. He's kind of like, again, he's worried. He's shook. He's very shook in this segment.
Right.
Kaiser comes out, and he demands respect from Priest, like, to have some respect from your champion. This is a guy that's beat you already. He's entering the ring, and then Gunther covers his microphone. He's like, dude, just shut your mouth. Like, what are you doing? Like, I didn't ask for you to talk or speak for me. Like, what are you doing? And then so there's this interaction there. Priest ends up taking out Kaiser. Gunther ends up trying to like take out Priest from behind, but then like Priest turns around and like stops Gunther in his tracks. And then like Gunther pretty much also hightails it. And that's pretty much the segment. And I think freaking Kaiser and Priest also had a match to where Priest defeated Kaiser. and it's Gunther staring at the rampway. And that's your build, is now Gunther. He's not just this honorable, respected champion. He's now very shook, and he doesn't believe in himself anymore now. This is the... Listen, guys, I'm just going to make this short because I'm baffled of what's going on. I get what they're doing, guys. Trust me, I get it. I understand what they're doing. Does it make sense? Yes. With Gunther's character, man, like, if you were to do this, Brian, with somebody like John Cena, right? So where John Cena verbally actually makes you creep in some doubt because he has those way with words, right? If we were building this to WrestleMania, it's Cena and it's Gunther, which could happen, by the way, in the future. Who knows? And like Cena, who we've seen for the last 5 years, obliterate people on the microphone, people like an Austin Theory, people like a Roman Reigns and such. Like, if there were any person to creep in doubt for somebody like Gunther, who's supposed to, again, be this diabolical heel, to where it comes from somebody like John Cena, who is legit the greatest of all time, right? Legit, he is one of, I guess...
Whoa, then. I'm just playing.
From many, not from me personally, but from many other people, that is known as the greatest of all time, right? Yes, I need to slow down my roll there. But yes, from other people's mouths, yes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Debatable, sure.
Debatable, yeah. He's up there.
He's up there, absolutely. But for him, my point is that him in this type of segment, to where if he were to ever creep in some doubt with Gunther, if you wanted to play the role of Gunther, like, oh, okay, like he's doubting himself now, like he's shook. Having somebody like Cena, like, verbally abuse this dude the way he verbally abused other people, that would make sense. Damian Priest, bro, a guy that he's already beaten already, and a guy like guys, come on, like, let's be honest, bro. Like, what are we doing here? And your build up to where it's, once again, it's Kaiser, the one taking the L, right? So I guess there's somewhat of a tease of maybe a split, or maybe some, I don't, who knows? That's all. I guess now they want to make Kaiser that type of solo act, which, again, Kaiser's tremendous. I think he's got a lot of potential, but it's what we're doing with Gunther, man, to where he still has so much more to offer as a diabolical heel, and you're putting him in this role to where he's losing confidence. He's shook over a guy to where he's already beaten already. If this is the nucleus of this story that we're telling, and listen, at this point, because you've already had the match, you're grabbing straws. Like, you need something. But if this is the nucleus, if this is what we got, bro, I'm check you deuces, because I don't care. I don't care. That's just how I feel, man. I don't like what we're doing with Gunther at all. There's still so much more you can do with him as a diabolical heel, and we've made him this honorable champion, all about respect and the good fight, to where the handshakes and this respect never call for it in the moment. And now he's shook by Damian Priest, a guy that he's beaten already. That's the nucleus of this story. Fuck out of here. Brian, what are your thoughts, man, about this?
Man, much like this whole show, it's like 50-50 for me, because on the one hand, I'll start with Gunther. You're right. This whole, I mean, he spent over 4 years as the IC title. Now he's been, I don't know, 6-8 months as the champion. So, the better part of 5 years, right. He's been this.
Right.
And it's not so fact that it is the doubt. For me, it's that it happened just like that.
That right.
It was in 3 weeks.
Right.
In 3 weeks that this is
one happened. Loss to Cody, bro. It's like one loss to Cody. Now you're shook, dude.
Right.
It's like, what the fuck? Where did this come from? This makes no sense. Yeah. Absolutely.
Exactly. So that's the baffling part to me. Not like if you wanted to slow play this and draw it out a little bit. Again, it's just these things of again, we just talked about the timing of the New Day and how they're doing this. And then to me, the way I see a lot of these things is just the timing of it all.
Right.
of
Yeah.
how you spend the last almost 5 years
Mm-hmm.
doing this with Gunther and building this character.
Right.
And I get it. You eventually you have to evolve that. But man, you just seriously like said Crown Jewel, which was, and maybe the week before that, I know there was an interaction with him and Ludwig, but this has been like a 3 week thing, and he's here like, I can't beat Damian. And to Damian's point, like you're absolutely right. It would make far more sense if it was a John Cena, Man Undertaker, The Rock, the
Yeah.
whatever. I'm saying that, but then also I do like what they're doing with Priest here because I do think like I think he's there. Like I don't maybe he's not going to be The Rock or John Cena or whatever. But he's the champion. That's all this is the the Ludwig thing. Priest is your champion. He's beaten Kaiser or beaten Gunther, I think. And I'm fine with that. Because I really do. I believe in Priest. I think he really does have it and can create good storylines on his own. But you're right. Just in this scenario where Priest is the one that's giving Gunther the doubt, it just
Right.
that's where you're
That's
missing the story falls
yeah.
apart.
No, absolutely. Yeah, again, I don't listen. I don't. This has nothing against Priest from me. Like this has nothing to do with Priest and how I feel about him in this spot. It's just like you said,
Right.
the timing of it, and like you've beaten this dude already, right? You beat
Yep.
him at SummerSlam, and after
And
one loss to
even if he did have that doubt as the cocky heel, knowing he already beat him, okay, shit, you took me to the limit, but I still fucking
I
beat
still
you.
fucking beat you, right? And you can kind of play like that type
Yeah.
of, like
Denial, like whatever,
denial, like, oh, like, just because, Finn Balor was involved, like, didn't mean anything. I still beat you, right? And you play that arrogant, cocky, diabolical heel because that's Gunther, dude. Like, and again, if it was from John Cena, a guy that could creep in that somewhat of doubt to that same person, right? It kind of comes back full circle to the same dude that's been verbally abusing everybody. People like Bret Hart, people like Damian Priest in the past, and so many others. So it comes back with full circle, right? It's like the bully, it's like a bigger bully out bullying the bully, right? So we're like in
yeah,
those little teen flick movies or whatever, right? Like that makes sense to do this with Priest, and after one loss to Cody, like your confidence is shot, like it's done. The fuck are you? What are we doing?
yeah,
It's
right.
just I don't understand it, bro. It's just this entire title reign, Brian, from Gunther has been so odd. It's been the most baffling. Like I really thought, and maybe this is me, maybe I'm the schmuck for believing this, but after the Intercontinental title reign. And I'm like, all right, Gunther's going to be that dude where we're going to have this diabolical heel. He's going to be your world champion. He's going to run amok through the entire roster, right? And this is going to be a diabolical reign. The dude has done nothing but shake hands with Orton. He's done nothing but shake hands with Cody, right? He was in this weird, at the time, in this weird even there was one interaction with Priest, and that was the whole like street trash promo segment that they had building up to SummerSlam. That was really
Right.
it. Outside of that, there's been nothing with Gunther in this title
Yeah.
reign. Nothing. And it's like that's where I'm baffled. It's just like because there's nobody else on the roster, right? Because again, you have Seth, who's most likely going to be going after Punk in the future. They teased that a couple weeks ago, right? You have LA Knight, who's over on SmackDown. You have Cody and Roman, who are over on SmackDown, right? Like, who else is left to face Gunther for this championship? Oh, let's just have him face Priest again, and let's have him creep in some doubt, right? And not make him believe in himself.
Right.
I don't understand. And listen, I'm in the favor that Gunther needs to win this matchup. To be quite honest with you, with Priest. And again, this has nothing shade against the Priest. And again, who knows? I could still be wrong. Like they could flip a switch and have Priest win this championship, and you can still have a matchup with Gunther and Cena in the future. But if you were going to build Gunther to be the longest reigning Intercontinental champion, he just won this back in August from SummerSlam. And it's been what?
Yeah.
August, September, October, November, not even hardly 4 months. And now all of a sudden it's It's done. So, man, that decision, Brian, to where if Priest wins back this championship, I don't know how I would feel about it, man. I really don't.
I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah,
and you could be right.
Why all this doubt is all of a sudden there, like,
yeah,
and whether Ludwig will probably play some part in it, but
yeah.
Oh,
and you could be right. Obviously, yeah, like Ludwig could play a part in it to where you can continue to, I guess, prolong that, I guess. It's just, yeah, man, it's just that this matchup, guys, just does nothing. It just does nothing for me personally, right? There's, I'm sure, a lot of people that are somewhat excited for this match, guys. It's just this match, it does nothing for. If this is the nucleus, Brian, to where like, oh, Priest is defeating Kaiser, and you have this stare off from the ring to the stage. Well, now I gotta fucking watch this matchup now, man. Holy shit.
Right.
Like, guys, I don't care. I've seen the matchup already. There's nothing else that I need to see. And you doing this doubt and shook type of Gunther mannerisms building up to this matchup doesn't make any sense because, like you said, Brian, the timing of everything. And it's doing nothing but deteriorate this title reign and doing nothing but deteriorate Gunther, who should be a diabolical heel still early in his world title reign, should be taking names within this title reign and should be feeling more of a, well, he's already markable. I can't really say marketable, but she be more of an attraction, right? Should be more of an interesting attraction, I should say, in these shows where he's just not. He's just really not. So that's
even when you I'll end it with these two things. Even when you think about back to his IC title run, right? His entrance, where it had like the big columns, right? You know, the background, and the music, and the
spotlight and everything, right?
Right. Like even that is gone.
It's done. Yeah, it's done. Right? Yeah. Like the old like Imperium type of.
And I get it; they're not necessarily Imperium anymore.
No,
but,
right?
I mean, you can just.
But why get rid of it? Why get rid of that whole spiel? It's that I was also like, you know, we talk about entrances all the time, and you need a badass entrance and a theme music, right? That aura of Gunther's, you know, entrance and in his persona like fit, and it was like, oh, the lights go dim. It's like that, you know, orchestra type of theme. Like it's like it makes you feel a certain type of way. And now it's gone. It's gone. Like, I don't know what we're doing with Gunther, bro. I've said this for weeks. I don't know what we're doing with this dude, man. It's so odd. Listen, this show as a whole, I mean, guys, ever since it's been to a 2-hour format, man, I really thought that the shows would get somewhat better. They really, like, in totality, it really truly hasn't. You have the Wyatt 6 and Karrion Kross. You have some glimpses of some backstage interactions, which is all from the talent. It's not really even from the executive suits and ties in the booking. It's just the talent executing what they're being told to do. Outside of that, bro, there is legit nothing. If there was, like, Brian, if someone would tell me, hey, James, I missed Monday Night Raw, what should I see? All right, go watch Karrion Kross and Wyatt 6. Okay, what else? I got nothing. That's it. Legit nothing. I have nothing personally outside of the Wyatts and Karrion Kross. I have nothing to promote to you. Like, legit none. Because, like, what's there to promote? The women just nonsensically brawling to end the show. You also have Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins nonsensically brawling. You have the Bloodline trying to find a fifth member that's not even a part of Bloodline family-esque. Like, what's there to what's there? Right. What's the need to watch, or what's the fear of missing out here? That's what I always preach, man. But so we'll see as we got Survivor Series in a couple weeks, as we got our roundtable coming up. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that big roundtable event. Bunch of content creators. Make sure you guys are on the lookouts of that. And that's going to do it for this review, man. Short and simple, not one of our long episodes as we're kind of crunched for time here, but appreciate you guys as always for enjoying this review or listening to this review. Again, you see the banner down below. Make sure you guys check us out on Instagram and TikTok. That is Ruthless_Talk. We will talk SmackDown, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot more of build of who this fifth person is going to be. I'll save majority of that talk for that show coming up, as I'm sure they're going to tease maybe Cody, maybe Kevin Owens, who knows? Randy Orton's on the shelf now, who knows when he comes back.
Just thought of it, man. Fucking, I don't know why I couldn't think of it before. Freaking Goldberg and Brock Lesnar. Those are the two guys.
Oh, what can you? I can hear the internet, the wrestling internet now. If it's Goldberg and Brock Lesnar, fucking dude, like we might have
gotta get it to 5-on-5.
Right. Oh my god, man. That you want to talk about freaking a car wreck of
yeah.
Holy shit. Fucking Goldberg,
Jokes,
man.
People, I joke.
Right.
But yes. Who knows? I don't know.
We kid. Listen, we kid because we care to a degree.
Right.
But yeah. So yeah, man. Goldberg, Brock Lesnar. Oh my goodness, man. But yes, we will talk more about War Games, the build up to War Games, this fifth member, whoever the fuck it is. There was also spoilers, right? Monday Night Raw over the next several weeks is going to be taped, which is interesting. And I get it. There's this, we got Thanksgiving coming up, the holidays coming up. It's weird how they're doing this tape show next week when we still have like another week left. I mean, honestly, it's by design. Honestly, it's really just all business at the end of the day, because they're already cutting live events as it is. I just don't understand, again, the timing of doing a tape show next week as opposed to maybe the week of Thanksgiving, which is interesting. But so yeah, I mean, it's by design for the most part, business wise. Just trying to at least cut some cost, because they're doing all of these international events now, and now they're going to go to Netflix and all this stuff. So that's pretty much in regards to it. So there's a big return from next week, as I was able to look at some spoilers that dealt with the women. As I'm sure maybe you could, if you're listening to this, you can put 2 and 2 together of who that person is. But we'll talk more about that, for weeks to come. But we will talk SmackDown this weekend. Stay tuned for it. And again, our Survivor Series roundtable, which is next week. So make sure you guys stay tuned for it. We got a bunch of content creators, some similar names, some new names. So make sure you stay tuned for it. We'll talk the match card and a bunch of other stuff that we'll talk about. So stay tuned for it. Brian, final thoughts before we end things?
Yeah, man, just looking forward to the Roundtable Survivor Series, man. Other than that, this show in particular was really, it was 50-50 for me, man. A lot of good kind of storytelling, but then the endings were baffling. And
yes.
Again, I like what they're doing with Priest. It's baffling with Gunther. So it's one of those things, man. It's just not clicking. It ain't clicking.
No, hardly anything really. So, but we'll see. Hopefully, again, we got a couple more weeks left of this 2-hour format. Does it slowly continue to get better? I doubt it, but like you said, Brian, it's habit and hope. And that's pretty much all we got at this point. So thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. That is going to do it, everybody. My name is James Porcelli.
I'm Brian Thomas.
Until next time, there will be a next time. Your boys are signing off saying salute.
Peace out.
And take care, everybody. Top guys, out.
Out.